Hey, what's up? What's going on? Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please like the video. It's Mary Jane. We're going to be talking about Atlanta Housewife, the reunion, part 2. Basically, there really wasn't much for me going on in this reunion at all. The questions that was sent in, that people asked and sent it in to Andy, the questions wasn't my forte at all. And then on top of that, the old things that they went over really wasn't all that great. Basically, I don't really know where to go with this reunion because I don't know what the fuck. It was just boring. I fell asleep. So anyways, we leave off where Candy's talking about she had donated money to Portia because they were friends. And then, Andy was saying, well, Candy really believed that you guys had a good friendship at the moment because why would she give a donation of $5,000 to you? And then, Portia said, well, it was for charity, it wasn't for me or whatever. And then basically Andy said, who else gave money? Then she said Phaedra gave money, and Phaedra gave $10,000 trying to up Candy. Basically, it's whatever. If it's for charity, it's all good, basically. Then he also asks, Candy, Andy asks Candy, do she think that Portia's in anger management or whatever? And Candy was like, no, like, you see, she only went 2 times. Like Andy said, the 2 times that you've seen Portia go to anger management. And so basically Candy doesn't believe that she's going to anger management at all. And anybody on the side where Candy is sitting at, like Kenya and Cynthia, don't believe that Portia's in anger management counseling, basically. So anyways, basically then Andy asked the question where to Portia, do you think that Cynthia and Kenya deserve an apology since now that you are in anger management? So in hindsight, do you believe they deserve an apology? And Portia answers it like, basically, I really apologize to these girls or whatever, but in hindsight I would have done things differently. Basically Andy was like, do you think what happened to Cynthia that she deserved it? And Portia was like, no. Do you think Kenya deserved what she got from you using the bullhorn or whatever, or her antics that she had at the last reunion or whatever? And then Portia goes, I apologize to them or whatever. Kenya was like, no, you did not apologize. So basically they go back to the film where it shows that Portia is saying that she's owning up for what she did in hindsight, and she regret it, and as a grown woman basically, but she didn't say I'm sorry. I didn't hear I'm sorry, maybe I'm wrong or whatever, but it was more of like an official apology like an attorney or a company would give. So basically they're not stating any type of liability at all. So basically, and then Phaedra goes, just give her an apology right now so it's on camera, it's documented, it's reported. Portia goes, I already gave her an apology or whatever. So boom, we move on. Portia said no, they didn't deserve it. And Portia said she didn't deserve what she got either, basically. So basically, I don't know if anger management is working, but she hasn't fought anybody this season. So anyways, and so and then Kenya says, well, do you think Jamie deserved what she got? Because Portia was chasing after Jamie, trying to beat her up basically. And then Portia's really like with that dumb look on her face, like she's not here, that has nothing to do with us, basically, whatever. And then Phaedra jumps in and say that's hearsay, you wasn't there, I wasn't there, so why bring that up, blase and a third. So basically this is the first time you really see Phaedra covering and kind of having Portia's back, because the first part 1 it was brought out that she didn't, but part 2 Phaedra is kind of having her back or whatever. So basically that's it. And then Andy asks, or there was a question, and then Phaedra was like, well, do you believe that the girls bully Portia, basically? And Phaedra says, yes, I believe they are bullying Portia because she's an easy target, she's easy to go after. And then Candy goes, you think I bully you? Did I bully her, Phaedra, Portia? And then Phaedra says, no, you didn't, basically. And she was like, okay, yeah, so it's like, what? And Cynthia was like, I bullied you? And then Portia goes, well, not in a group setting, basically saying that Portia abused her and abuse her in a group setting, but not alone. Basically, Portia is saying that when she's around the other girls, Cynthia tends to take on a bully attitude, and so, Cynthia was like, no, I don't bully you. Maybe you don't like what I say to you because I'm keeping it real with you, but I don't bully you. I don't come after you like that. I just tell her how it is. And maybe you don't like it, so you think it's bullying, but it's not. Child, I don't bully nobody, basically. And so then Portia is like, none of these girls support me. They don't say anything positive. I'm telling them I'm in anger management. I'm trying to change. Look at their attitudes. Look what they're saying. Look how they're behaving, or whatever, basically. So the other girls, Candy, Cynthia, and Kenya, not trying to hear it at all. So basically, and then Portia goes, it makes me feel like I'm in high school, the bullying, like I was bullied in high school, basically. And it's like when I'm on set with you girls, it feels like I'm back in high school. And then, Kenya says, I was bullied in high school, so okay, big deal. And Cynthia was like, I was bullied in high school too, so okay, big deal. So it's like, okay. And then, Candy was like, what's going on? It's like, 1 minute I'm bullying you, 1 minute I'm not bullying you. You know what I mean? And, Candy said, get it together. 1 minute I'm sitting, I'm ready, then I'm not sitting, I'm ready. 1 minute I'm a bully, 1 minute I'm not. Get your story straight, get your mind right, basically. That's what Candy is saying, because she's like, what's good, whatever. And so basically, they don't really have evidence of these girls bullying Portia. They may say things to her or not agree with things that she does, but really this season they don't really have evidence of these girls bullying her. Only thing that happened was they was at dinner and they was talking about anger management. Only reason why they was asking her questions about anger management and all this other stuff is because Phaedra had said to them that Portia's in counseling and she wants to let all the ladies know. Basically, she told that to Kenya, and Kenya related to the other girls. So when they sat down to dinner, they wanted to talk about her anger management before they go camping and whatever. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, it is what it is. Well, now you see, like, Portia and Phaedra and Sheree are kind of like a team, kind of like on sides, but Sheree can kind of maneuver to both sides, basically. So anyways, that is what it is. And so basically, there's a question that was asked to Kenya, like, why did you keep going back and forth with Matt? Do you think you set a bad example for the young women that watched the show, whatever, to stay in an abusive relationship? And Kenya was like, you know what, he wasn't abusive to me, he didn't hit me. Andy made it clear that, okay, Matt did not hit Kenya or whatever. So Kenya was like, he was a nice guy. We had a wonderful relationship together. We had a good time. And I never seen that side of him. So then when I started to see that side of him getting angry, him getting upset, him breaking stuff, him leaving messages on her phone and online and things like that, and being aggressive, it was to other things, but she kind of like ignored it, And so basically, and so Kenya does apologize to America, saying that she's sorry that she left a bad image by going back to him. But she said, when you're in love, things happen, they happen. You know what I mean? And she really thought that he was going to change, but he didn't. So now it's over, basically. And there was another question like, Cynthia, why did you get involved to go meet up with Matt and find out what's going on? If you think that Matt wasn't good for her, so why would you try to get them back together? And Cynthia was like, basically, I just wanted to know what's going on, because I'm hearing what Kenya's saying, then I see what Matt's doing. I just wanted to know what's going on, and basically I wanted to be in the business to find out the information. Basically, that's what Cynthia wanted to know. Cynthia just really wanted to know what was good, and basically she wanted to see, was Matt really like this person that Kenya is describing, and all this other things, to see where his head was, basically, and also get some tea, basically. And so and Cynthia was saying that she was concerned because Kenya will go back and forth with him. 1 minute she'll be with him, next minute they're not together. So basically she was just trying to find out what's going on, because she was tired of the back and forth, and plus she was kind of worried to see if Kenya was in any real danger, and plus camera time as well. And so Candy said the same thing. Candy said, I was concerned about Kenya, because he's busting windows, he's breaking things, it's almost like he's stalking her, and he gets aggressive and mad. And she said, Candy said, usually that leads to a person being very violent towards you. Maybe they're showing these different behaviors and aggressiveness towards other things, but usually that aggressive behavior is going to turn on you. So she was telling Kenya to leave Matt, just be done with it, whatever. So anyways, so that's why Cynthia butted in, basically, in my opinion. And she kind of explains it as well. She just wanted to know what was going on, what was good with this. And basically, you got Portia and you have Phaedra and you have Sheree on the other side of the couch is making faces like, oh, she's so bad, she's so awful, like, oh yeah, look at that bad image that you're displaying to America and young girls, basically with their facial expressions. But then we get to the part where, Andy asks Sheree, like, what's going on with you and Bob, and why would you want to get back with Bob after, all this abuse or whatever. And then, you know what, Sheree says the same thing that Candy says. It's because, I thought he was going to change. I thought we could work this out. I was being stupid. I was in love. I was just wanted to see if it was going to work, basically. So, so basically that judgment that they gave Candy, the judgment that they gave Kenya, they could have gave that judgment to Sheree. And plus, Sheree was married to this guy and she'd been knowing him for years and she has children with him. So why turn your nose up at Kenya and not turn your nose up at Sheree? Because you don't get along, but there's principles in this bullshit. You know what I mean? So anyways, and it's also sad that Sheree never told her family. She never told her children. She never told anybody about the abuse that she was going through. Basically, she said she only told a few people. Her mom didn't know. Her kids didn't know. And basically, it was very heavy. Andy said it as well. It was very heavy for Sheree to bring up this issue. She never talked about it. She suppressed it. And basically, when Bob said that, only reason when Sheree was on a plane with her mother, only reason why I don't wish for the plane to crash is because your mother's on it. And it was like, whoa. Like, oh no, like, why would you want to get back with him, Sheree, after all that? But you know what? Sometimes we make mistakes and we got to pull ourselves up from our mistakes, because I've made plenty of mistakes. So I'm not judging anybody. I'm just commentating and going on what I think. But it's on TV, so I don't take it personally or dislike anybody, because I know I don't live perfectly and I don't have a perfect life at all. So basically, it is what it is. And then, when, Kenya was talking about her and Matt, and then, they end up having sex in the back seat of his truck or whatever, Phaedra was on the other side like, oh, you can't get a hotel. And then Portia was like, get a bed. Just throwing little shots that didn't make any sense. Like, that's the wild side. She was being freaky. She was out of her comfort zone and she was living it up. And you know what? And I'm glad Kenya did not say, oh, I wish I wouldn't have done this. She was like, yeah, we did it. And that's good. I'm glad she, not that she owned up to it, that she didn't make it like it was a big deal. Like, because there's many of people that like to have sex in vehicles, basically. So anyways, and everybody can't afford a hotel, but we know Kenya can't afford a hotel. Like Kenya said, she didn't want him at his house busting out his window. He might have had some good sex, but she ain't taking a chance of him busting out her windows or breaking anything up in her house after they get done or whatever. So basically it goes to that old conversation with Sheree, with Sheree saying that, Kenya provoked Matt to have this behavior. Sheree says, no, I didn't mean it that way. Sheree says, I mean, you provoked the girls. Maybe she did, but I believe she meant it in the way that Kenya provokes people. And Kenya does provoke people, but she provoked the girls. And with Matt in that situation, when you're in a relationship, people provoke each other. So I'm not saying she did, I'm not saying she didn't, but Sheree should just said, well, she provoked me, she provoked other people or whatever, and I kind of like had a feeling that she was probably provoking Matt or whatever for him to act in the way that he was acting, because he's a nice guy. That's what she should have probably said, but she just tried to say that no, I was only talking about the girls. And then Phaedra and Portia tried to co-sign. Sheree was only talking about the girls and that's it, but we all know that Sheree was talking about Kenya provoking people in general. And Kenya has, in the first episode, it says that she did make some bad decisions by chasing Portia out, then bringing all the items to the last reunion, to the megaphone or whatever, to yell at Portia or whatever. So she does do some things that can probably annoy someone and get them upset, but you have to have control over your own self and your own behavior, so that if someone is doing things to provoke you, that you can be mature enough and not to act in that way. But it all depends on your mental state. If you're like in that time and you're in that period where this was the last straw, then shit's gonna happen. So basically, it is what it is. And then they ask Kenya, why did she reveal Sheree's information about her being abused, because like I said earlier, no one knew that Sheree was being abused at all. So anyways, Kenya goes, she was coming at me, and I can understand, like, Sheree did come at Kenya, was like, you provoke people, you got this man breaking this out your windows out, you got him doing this and that. And so when someone's coming at you in that type of way, and they're reading you and saying, oh, you're this and you're that, and this is why that's happening, there's cameras on, there's people around, and if you know any information about that person, you're gonna throw it up, so you're gonna reveal it. So that's why Kenya revealed it. Kenya was like, why are you jumping in the mix of this, and why are you saying all this when you used to get your butt beat down by Bob, or you was in a abusive relationship? So it makes no sense for you to be coming at me like this. Then it's also, Kenya also revealed that, I believe that, Sheree told her, but Sheree said, I never told you anything. And then, Kenya said, yes, you did at lunch or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And Kenya was like, we had we had a conversation, and we talked more about not just relationship. We talked about, abuse or whatever, basically. But she didn't say abuse in her words. Kenya didn't say that abuse word or whatever. But she was like, we had open conversations, you know what I mean? You don't remember, basically. So it is what it is. And so, like, I don't fault Kenya for doing what she did. Just like Portia said that when, Candy was saying things about her, when she met up with Candy, she ended up just making up things and saying things right on the point, because now, Candy was saying, oh, you did this, you slept with this when you're an aggressive lesbian, all this other stuff. And so that's when Portia was like, oh, that's why Todd is, goes to New York in a different name. That's why you have a sex dungeon and all this other stuff. Because, and Portia revealed in Maui that, she just said whatever came off the top of her head, you know what I mean? Because she felt like she was being cornered, and that's how Kenya felt. Kenya felt like she was being cornered, so she revealed some information, basically. And so Phaedra and Portia was like, oh my God, that's so awful. Why would you do that? Why would you reveal information about her? And you are taunting and triggering Sheree, whatever, by bringing up that information. But you already know my take on it. And basically, Andy was like, Matt posted an open letter, and, Kenya was like, I'm reading him dust. I'm done with him. He's always posting things and deleting it, blasting the third. And then, Andy was like, well, he said the woman of the week, the sexy woman of the week or whatever, or his crush is on, Portia. And Portia was like, I'm good with that or whatever. And then Andy also said that Matt said he left 3 Magnum condoms on your dresser. What is Matt trying to say? That he has the biggest penis, or she doesn't use protection? What's going on with that? So anyways, Kenya was like, I don't give a shit about whatever he says. And basically, there was a question asked to Kenya, why do you keep hiring people to be your boyfriend or whatever? And Kenya goes, no. And then, the other girls on the couch, Phaedra, Portia, and Sheree was like, yeah, answer that. So, Kenya was like, nah, I didn't hire him to be my boyfriend. He just posts things. He just says negative things. And we was clearly in a relationship for a year, whatever, but it just didn't work out. And it is what it is. And I didn't hire him. I don't believe that she hired him, because she would have paid him. So anyways, so moving forward onto that, and Kenya says she hasn't talked to Matt since New Year's Eve or whatever. So basically it is what it is. Then we talk about Phaedra's divorce and her lying, basically. And Phaedra was like, I'm not lying about my divorce because I already paid Apollo $100,000 to settle. It's done, basically. And then, Phaedra brings receipts for Andy, and he reads out the divorce decree or whatever. And then, Kenya was like, and Candy was like, that's not true, because they are not divorced or whatever. And then Phaedra goes, he is contesting divorce. And then and then Candy is like, well, rumor is that she put the wrong name. She filed the wrong name on a divorce decree, spelling Apollo's name wrong or whatever. So that way he didn't get the summons or the court order to show up to court, or how to reply back, because it was in the wrong name. So basically the judge scratched that and threw that out, and they're basically going back through it. And Andy was like, isn't Apollo engaged already? And then Phaedra was like, yeah, he is, or whatever. So I don't know what the deal is. I don't know why people worried about it or whatever. And then, Phaedra is like, well, and they show they show like a scene of Joyce, Mama Joyce, basically investigating Phaedra's divorce or whatever, and all that good stuff. And Phaedra's like, I don't know why Mama Joyce is investing in what I'm doing about my divorce. She needs to be investigating. She needs to be taking her investigation service to the OLG restaurant and find out why they're not open. That's what she needs to do, basically. And Andy was like, how did you feel about Candy pulling Mama Joyce away so she wouldn't ask you these questions? She was like, well, it was like whatever, but why would someone's mother behave that way? My mother doesn't behave that way or whatever, basically. And then Phaedra was like, they always coming after me, they always doing this, always doing that or whatever. And Candy was like, what are you talking about? My restaurant is going to open this week, basically. And Candy was like, we have all the paperwork filed, we have the licenses, we have the board stuff, we have all that stuff taken together, basically. And then Candy was like, I know you've been hating, I know you've been calling the people down there at the city, trying to make sure it doesn't open, causing problems, hating on what I'm doing and not worrying about what you're doing. And Phaedra was like, no, I don't have to do that, I don't have to call nobody. And then Candy's like, what do you mean you don't have to call nobody? See, Andy, I told you she was a low down dirty bitch, because she was calling them people and she was trying to do everything with her city people, downtown or wherever in the city, trying to make sure that my stuff does not come off the ground, basically. So basically, you see Phaedra's playing dirty or whatever with using the city to make sure Candy restaurant will have difficulties in opening. So if that's true, that's real dirty. And then Candy's are like, and also look how dirty she is. She got Johnny to try to sue me and whatever about me not paying him, whatever, when I did pay him. And it was like, and then Candy was like, you see the clip of her adding it up, talking about $2 and 0 cents or whatever. And then Phaedra goes, he's not my attorney or whatever. I'm not Johnny's attorney. I don't even know Johnny. He came to me and I sent him to the right people. And then Candy was like, yeah, he came to you and you sent him to your friends so you can make this big thing about it on TV and try to run my name through the dirt again and try to make me look bad. It's like you don't want me to win. You're always coming after me. And then Candy was like, that's why you don't win none of your lawsuits, because you can't even calculate right. And then that's when Phaedra goes, well, if you will pay your people, your employees, they wouldn't be suing you, basically. So it's like, okay, they did that with each other. So that was like a little interesting, but not all that much interesting, because we know about the situation with Johnny or whatever. And so, and Phaedra's also like, I don't know why you guys are worrying about my divorce, if I'm divorced or not with Apollo. And then Phaedra goes to Kenya, why are you worried about Apollo? Are you still talking to him? See, all up in Apollo's business. Me and Apollo's business. Don't you go get your own man? And so anyways, so it was like, whatever. So anyways, Candy was like $2.03. What calculation is that, basically, or whatever. So anyways, they talk about the Mama Joyce and all this other stuff. Then they talk about Phaedra and the bomb thing. And Phaedra goes, don't everybody got security? Everybody's like, no, we don't have security. And it was like, Candy was like, so if it wasn't a big deal that, Block wasn't trying to bomb the place or do anything like that, why the next day you have security? And then, Phaedra goes, what do you mean? And she was like, everybody should have security. And she was like, you can't speak on that, Candy, because that's hearsay. You wasn't there, so you don't know. And then Candy was like, well, why did they close down the mall and stuff if it wasn't nothing serious? Why did they arrest him? And then Phaedra goes, well, none of us know that. You wasn't at the mall, you don't know when he got arrested. Let's just say this, all charges have been dropped and nothing has happened among that. And so Candy was like, well, when you met one of our friends, you said that this is your security guard, of Blase and the third over here. And then Phaedra goes, again, that's hearsay. And then Candy goes, what do you mean that's hearsay? You just said you do have a bodyguard, so how is it hearsay? So Phaedra skeeted out of that again, basically. And so Phaedra is like, mind your business, Kenya. Kenya was like, I'm not worried about Apollo, I'm not worried about chocolate, I'm not worried about vanilla. So I guess she's just saying that Phaedra is getting around. And so basically, Andy said, who are you dating? Why? One of the questions one of the viewers asked was, why are you so secretive with who you're dating? Are you dating anyone? And so, Phaedra goes, I'm not really dating anybody, but you kind of hooked me up with somebody, Andy, one of your friends, but we only been talking, having conversation. And he was like, is this Shamar Moore? Is this Shamar Moore? And she was like, I can't tell. So anyways, we move on for that. We'll move on from that, and then the bond situation, all that's been dropped. So basically, Phaedra's not gonna own up to nothing. Nobody's really owning up to that much. Basically, if they did something, they did it. If they didn't, and then Phaedra goes to Kenya. Don't you know about being sued or whatever, that you have to be served or whatever. So because you've been sued plenty of times, and Kenya's like, if I ever been sued, I won, basically. So it is what it is. And then Phaedra was like, they need to worry about their own thing, and they're talking about evidence and notify and all this other stuff. They all up in my business, all up in my Kool-Aid, worried about me and Apollo. Mind it, basically. No, they just want to get you to tell the truth, and basically that's why the divorce issue came up, because Anthony was like, so what's going on with the divorce thing? Because people were having a problem with your timeline with your baby, your timeline with you talking about the divorce and different things. People are just thinking that you're a liar, basically, and maybe she is. And maybe she ain't, but yes, she is. And she's an attorney. She's not going to really own up to anything. And then they talk about Sheree and her son and his DUI. Basically, Cairo wasn't drinking and driving. Basically, his friend told the cops that they had smoked early in the day, so the cops arrested him. And they asked Sheree, do you feel bad about the way that you came after Nene and her son? She goes, yes, I totally do. It was wrong, and I feel bad for that. Kids should be off limits, because now the tables has turned, and her son was arrested. So basically, then Sheree goes, and then there was another question like, Sheree, for Cynthia, Sheree's about her money. She wanted to make sure Cairo was getting paid. You know what I'm saying? And so, and then, Sheree goes, Cairo didn't get his bag yet either. His Dora and then Kenya goes like, it's not a Dora Explorer bag. I love Dora the Explorer, but they was only gonna get, the Cynthia cargo bags or whatever. And so, Sheree's like, well, he didn't even get that either. And then Cynthia was like, you know what, I'm going to send it to you and make sure you get it, whatever, Blase in a third. And so then, and so that was really funny to bring that up. To make Cynthia kind of look bad and make Sheree look hungry. So basically, it is what it is. And then we got to see all the kids or whatever, and it was just like, wow, I've been watching this show way too long, and this reunion is way too boring. So anyways, they asked Candy about Riley's song. What, did she force her? Candy's like, no, I did not force my daughter to sing or whatever. My daughter was really excited when Nicki Minaj said she liked the song and liked it or whatever. And Candy was like, I'm not going to force my daughter to do anything right now, because I'm pretty busy, because the Escape group is coming back out, and we're going to be touring and all this other stuff, and we're doing a movie or whatever. So I wouldn't force my daughter to do that. She was excited to do that or whatever. Then Andy asked if she's gonna have any more kids. Candy said no, she's not gonna have any more kids right now, because her and Todd's schedule are very busy and they don't have time and all this other stuff. So basically, all the other ladies talked to their kids except for about the show and about things that happened in the show, like Candy talked to her kid about, the dungeon thing and the lesbian thing and drugging people, and her kids didn't really care. And Cynthia talked to her daughter about the lesbian thing. Portia doesn't have any kids. Phaedra was like, my sons are too young for me to talk to them about it or divorce with me and Apollo, because they just know they haven't seen them for 2 years, so it is what it is. He's not home. And Sheree said she hasn't talked to any of her kids about it, not now, and I don't know if she's gonna talk to him ever. So basically, Sheree talks about her and Bob, their relationship, all the bad things that happened. And Kenya goes over there and hug her, and Sheree's in a deep moment and she's crying. Candy's crying for her as well, because Candy said this is the first time that she ever seen Sheree break down or be so open and show so much emotion. So please like the video, it'll be greatly appreciated. It was kind of boring, but I still used 51 minutes. But anyways, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Mary Jane. Please like the video, it'll be greatly appreciated. Please share the video, it'll be greatly appreciated as well. Peace, I'm out.